Well, hello there. I'm Lexi, and this is the Prodigal's Purpose podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about someone who's very, very special to me. And as I share this person and their impact on my life, I just want to preface by saying this is from my vantage point, from my viewpoint, my experience, my witness to this incredible person God blessed me with in my life. So, really quick backstory just so you understand. My mom had me when she was very young, 18. And she and my dad were not a good match, and the relationship wasn't healthy. And so they got divorced and annulled when I was young. But I had my dad in my life every other weekend, holidays. I had regular visitation with him growing up. But most of the time, Mom and I were pretty ride or die. I always love to quote and pretend that we were like the Gilmore Girls, which we weren't, but we had a very close bond and we just kind of did everything together. So it was really fun to get to have so much amazing quality time with my mom. As I was growing up, it was kind of a handful as a child, but I made things interesting, and I'm always the funny one is what Mom says. There was one day my mom picked me up from daycare. It was like 3. My mom picked me up from daycare, and the daycare lady was like, "I'm so sorry, but I have a question for you." And my mom's like, "Yeah, what's up?" She's like, "Are you pregnant?" And my mom was like, "No." She had her hands full being a full-time student, working full-time, single momming with me, no baby in sight. And she's like, "Okay, I'm sorry. It's just, Lexi's been saying that she's going to get a baby and that you guys are going to set up a nursery and a crib." And she was just so descriptive about things that I had to ask. I'm so sorry. So on the way home, my mom had to break the news to me because previously for Christmas, I asked for a baby. And Mom was like, "Yeah, I'm sure Santa will get you a baby." Baby doll is what Stacy thought. Baby with a pulse was what I thought. So on the way home, she had to explain in 3-year-old terms, how do I tell this child she's not getting a child for Christmas? And so my mom just said, "I'm so sorry, Lexi, but in order for a family to have a baby, there has to be a mommy and daddy, and they have to be married." And I was devastated. She said I just cried all the way home. And she got me a baby doll, and it was whatever, but yeah. So Mom met this really nice guy through a mutual friend. He's a very quiet guy, and his name was Matt. And she started seeing him for quite a while, and things were getting serious that now it was time for him to meet me. And so my mom can't remember if it was maybe the first or second time I've ever met Matt, but there was one point where she had to use the restroom. So she dropped me off. She's like, "Just a sec, I have to use the restroom." She used the restroom. She gets back in the living room. I am crawled up, sitting on Matt's lap, smiling really big at him, and he is beet red, dying laughing. Just dying laughing. And my mom's like, "Oh my gosh, what did she do?" And so she asked, and he said, "She asked me to marry you guys." I barely knew the dude, okay? Barely knew the dude. Mom thought that was the last we would see of Matt. 3 years later, they were married. And actually, a part of the engagement, he obviously proposed to my mother, but then he also bought me, it's on my pinky, bought me a diamond ring and proposed to me. And I got my own little ring, and I called it my wedding, even though I was not walking down the aisle to a husband, but I called it my wedding. And his argument was, well, she deserves a ring because obviously she wanted to marry me long before Stacy ever did. So August, when I was 6, I got a stepdad, and I was very excited. Mom and I loved to tease Matt. We used to have fake fights where we'd be like, "He's my pretty boy. No, he's my pretty boy." And Matt would just sit there quietly and smirk. And I don't think I realized it when I was growing up. Matt really accepted me. And I kind of thought that's what just all blended family stepdad dynamics were. But growing up and learning other people's experiences, I now understand how grateful I am in that. And what I mean by that is he never referred to me as his stepdaughter. Like, ever. He would always, say, oh, yeah, I have 2 daughters and 2 sons. He's like, oh, this is my daughter, Lexi. He never used that term, ever. And I didn't appreciate it or understand it then. But that just kind of shows you how he saw me and how he viewed me. And when I was little, once they got married, I started calling him Dad. And I still had my biological dad around, and that dynamic was kind of tricky, and he did not like the idea of Matt being called Dad by me. And so I privately expressed this to my mom, that I was nervous to call Matt Dad, or felt like I couldn't call Matt Dad anymore. And Matt wasn't mad. Matt wasn't, aggressive or argumentative or wanted to start something. He was just like, the last thing I want is for Lexi to be uncomfortable. She can call me whatever she wants. I don't care. And not that he didn't care, but he cared more about how it made me feel than his own feelings. So I never felt pressure by Matt. Ever. I think if anybody has encountered Matt, you would also say the same. He's not a pushy pressure guy. He's just not. He was so proactive and active growing up with me. He went to all my soccer games and recitals, dance and music. I was an artsy fartsy kid, and he was always there. He's very quiet. We always say, "Good job, Lexi." That was really good. Just man of simple words. And at home, he was changing diapers. He was folding laundry. He was browning the hamburger. No task was too small for Matt, and no task was too much for Matt. He was like a team player, and just kind of everything he did. He always loved helping anybody out any way he can. His love of sports is a staple for Matt. He loved the Huskers. He loved the Steelers. He loved the Royals. Huskers were what was real. For an example, my parents got married on a Friday, and before they left for their honeymoon, they had to stop and go to the Husker game in Lincoln before they left for their honeymoon. Okay? That was Matt's thing. He was just such a good, honest, solid guy. And he'd be the first to tell you he's not perfect. I'm not claiming perfection, but his goodness was obvious. Just how he treated people. And honestly, I never remember a time where I saw him speaking poorly of someone, ever. He really, he just was such a good guy. And I loved how he loved my mom. I love that he finally gave me the baby I've been begging for in Kenton and Aiden and sweet Gianna. He took a risk in choosing to be not only a husband day one, but be a father day one of his marriage. And he felt like it was worth it. And he felt like I was worth it. It's just amazing. During my childhood, I was still doing visitations with my biological dad. And there was I felt pressure that I had to pick loyalty between my dad and Matt. Whether it was spoken or unspoken, I just did. I loved Matt. I was very friendly with Matt. We had really good times. We had fun together. But I will say there definitely was a guard up with Matt on my part. And he was so good and so loving that he never overstepped or pushed it. He just always was kind of like, I'm there for Lexi if she needs me. And Mom and I are basically the same. We're like copy and paste, but in the weirdest way. We're still very different people too. But we loved hard and we fought hard too. We just had very similar tendencies. I was very stubborn and I was very aggressive. And I just remember my teenage high school years were really hard. And I was kind of going through some stuff. But I was really hard on my family life. I was not respectful or kind to my family. And there was this high school activity where parents could, write to their children little letters or whatever. And like in typical Stacy fashion, she like had this beautiful like Christian card and with a pretty cover in the front, and then she like wrote like 12 pages, and it was just kind of this nice opportunity to check in with your student. And sometimes talking in person can be hard when you have an angsty kid who wants to eye roll and block out your voice, but something about like having space and digesting a letter is really beautiful too. And again, Matt is a man of very few words. He was the whisper between Mom and I. If we ever argued, he would, I think he'd talk to her and support her, and then he'd come talk to me, and he's like, Lexi, we love you. Your mom loves you, and sometimes it just was easier to take it from him. But anyways, so my mom had this like beautiful Hallmark card, all this beautiful stuff set up. And then I had this like plain envelope, and I knew it was Matt's handwriting, and I open it, and it's this, I have it with me. It's this yellow, just lined paper, like from a pad. And bet my life, and I love Matt, and so I'm guessing, I don't know. I love Matt, but bet my life, Mom was hounding him, was like, did you write Lexi's letter yet? And I bet he panicked and wrote this. And I've had a lot of birthday cards, and I've had a lot of kind notes and gestures that I've kept over the years, but this is probably one of my most prized possessions. And I just want to read it because I feel like you can, like, I'm speaking on my experience with Matt, but I just feel like this gives you such an inside scoop of the kind of person Matt was, and especially our relationship. So I'm going to read it. Dear Lexi, you have been blessed by my presence for 13 years. Can you believe it? Man, time flies when you're having fun. I may not talk as much as you and your mom, but I want to take this opportunity to tell you how I feel, since I'm not very good at saying it. I love you very much. Just like I said at our wedding, my mom always wanted me to find the perfect girl and get married. But I feel very blessed to have found the perfect two girls to marry and become my family. I want you to know that even though you may not have my blood in you, that I've always considered you to be my daughter. I love and feel for you the same way as I do your brothers. I will always be here if you need anything, so don't hesitate to ask. I can give as good advice as your mom can. I am very proud of you. I know at times you and your mom butt heads, but I want you to know that this is only because she just loves you so much, and she just wants what's best for you. I pray for you regularly, and will continue to do so. And I know you will have great things come your way. I have no problem being Matt, but I hope in your heart you know that I love you as a father loves his daughter. And you will always be my little girl, no matter how old you get. Love, Matt. Sorry, that was really hard. But I just don't think I could put words to summarize how well he said that to me. So high school and college were really hard for me personally. I stopped having a relationship with my biological father when I was 14. And so navigating those teen and college years were especially hard, and I struggled with feeling abandoned. And I still had my walls up with Matt. Obviously, not because of anything he did, but just I was still trying to process my own wounds. And I just kind of think I needed space in that. And that's where God started to kind of crack open the door of our relationship. But towards the end of college and when I got home, I felt like I was starting to get in a better place. And I looked back on my life and realized how much I took for granted from my parents, but mainly and especially Matt. And remember this, as I was moving into my first ever little duplex, Matt came over, moved things with me, built shelves for me, never complained or whined once, helped set up the girliest setups I wanted, and was just my little handyman. And I remember we were sitting up, hooking up my little fridge. And I turned to him and I started tearing up, and I was just like, Matt, I have not been nice to you. And I just am really sorry for how I've treated you in the past. When I was angry and hurt about other things, I just kind of used my family as a punching bag. But I want to thank you. You're just always there. You have moved me back and forth from college like 7 times, and you never complain. And here you are, helping me figure out car problems and moving me in. You've always done the dad things, and I just take you for granted. But I hope you know how much I love you, and I see it. And Matt was just like, Lexi, don't worry. Like, he's just, I wish you could hear his voice. Just the way he delivers things is just so funny. He's like, don't worry. We all make mistakes. He's like, I know. It's okay. I love you too. And he's not downplaying my feelings. He's just such a quiet guy. We really kind of started a new chapter in our relationship. Like when I was having boy problems, I wasn't just calling Mom, I was calling Matt and getting his advice. Or when I came over, I would sit outside when he was grilling sometimes and like small talk with him or just talk at him is usually how it was. Or I'd ask him a million football questions because I have no idea what's going on. And he wouldn't eye roll at me. He would patiently tell me all the stupid things that I didn't understand. I was in a phase of healing and working on myself. I was going to therapy, and I really wanted to prioritize my family. And I really wanted to like make it up to Matt, especially, and my siblings. I tortured my siblings and my mom. I was a little turd. I wanted to make it up to my family. March of my first year back, Matt had been having a lot of back pain and like couldn't sleep, and he never complains. But my mom just noticed, and she like made him go to the doctor. And they did a scan, and there was blotches just all over the scan and all over his body. And the doctor recommended he see a specialist because this looked like a major problem. And Matt was diagnosed with cancer. I was 23. Kenton and Aiden were in middle school. Gianna wasn't even in preschool yet. It was pretty rough. Now, my family's not a stranger to cancer, and God has really blessed us, and a lot of my family has done well with treatments, and so we all just like, okay, like we're gonna battle this. We're gonna get this figured out. The doctor gave Matt 6 months to live, and I was one of the first to know because my mom needed help with the kids. And I was there when Matt told my siblings. And the thing that I just remember the most is Matt truly, I don't get it. Matt truly like wasn't worried about himself. Matt was just so worried about us. And, you know, as we were discussing things and they heard that statistic of 6 months, Matt said, you know, God doesn't care about statistics, and neither do I, and I'm going to fight this. And I watched my parents live out their vocation in good times and in bad. And it was beautiful, and it was also really hard. It was really hard. But one of the biggest things I saw, and I noticed, was there was like this stillness and this peace about Matt. And I'm sure he had days he was scared, and I'm sure he had days he got news he didn't want to hear. But there was a time when it was just me and him, and the boys were gone, and Mom was gone. It was just he and I in the living room. And I was like, how are you doing? Like, really? Like, how are you doing? He's like, well, I have my family, and I have God. And honestly, Lexi, I don't know how people get through this without God. I feel really, really bad for them. And he said it in his quiet way, but he did say it with a lot of confidence. And I saw my mom and my dad dive so deep in their relationship. And there was just such this obvious, like, intimacy. Like, they just seemed so connected. More connected than I've ever seen them. And I did my best to like try to be the helpful sister and also try to process this myself. And I mean, I have regrets on some of the ways and things I handled it, but I was young and I tried. I will say I really tried. And we got, some news of like, okay, we're like slowing the cancer down. Like that's our goal. He wasn't going to be cured. It didn't look like. So we were just praying for a miracle. And probably the most beautiful thing is watching people help Matt carry his cross. Like obviously we wanted to help, but all the people that babysat my sister, took my brothers to their basketball games, helped decorate our house for Christmas, make meals for my family, just call or check in on my mom. A lot of people were Christ to us, and it was so moving, and it was really cool. About a year in, he's already beating the odds, but about a year in, I wanted to do something for Matt, and I didn't really know what to do. But I had seen on social media and things that sometimes adult children will have their step parents like adopt them legally. And I was like, that's really cool. Like I want to do something like that. So I got a lawyer and we explored those options, and unfortunately I couldn't do it. There were just some outside circumstances out of my control, and no offense, outside of my budget, that were standing in the way, and I legally wasn't able to do that. And I was really disappointed. But my lawyer had a beautiful idea. She's like, I know it's not going the way you want. I know you want Matt to adopt you and you can't. But maybe you can adopt Matt in a way. She's like, what if you took his last name? A name change is way more in your budget. But the principle and what you want, still very much so there. So it was all during COVID too. So I quarantined for like 2 weeks. And I got to spend Christmas with my family. COVID sucked, by the way. I got to spend Christmas with my family, and I got to hand Matt a letter and a clip of a newspaper, thanking him for everything he's done for me, explaining what my original intentions were, but that I would love to honor how he's served and sacrificed and loved me by taking on his last name as Johnson Brass. And the newspaper clip showed like the court date when I would, go and the judge would officially make it legit. And he doesn't get teary-eyed all the time, but he did. And we hugged. And I said, I'd like to call you Dad. And he just loved it. And my mom told me that, later that night after I had left, she was sitting on the couch with him. And he was on his phone. And usually he's on his phone, he's just scrolling. But he's on his phone texting. And he's texting his family members that he got the best birthday gift ever. And that I'm going to change my name to Johnson Brass. And it was awesome. And shortly after Christmas, unfortunately, Matt was put onto hospice, which just means, the treatments and medications aren't working, or they're doing more harm than good. That the best thing to do is to make the patient more comfortable, still give them the care that they need, but that the end was probably coming. So I had my daily routine of I'd teach, Mom would text me updates, I'd go to the gym, I'd go in the house, I'd spend some time with Matt if he was up or available, see the siblings, check on Mom, go to sleep. And that was just kind of our routine. And slowly, Matt was getting weaker and got to the point where he mainly was just sleeping, like a lot. Those last couple days, I would just sit there and just kind of like rub his hand or hold his hand for a while. And if he was awake, he would just kind of be really, really quiet or confused. And so it was a day or two where he had barely talked. Some yeses or nos, but just wasn't normal Matt behavior. He just looked so tired and was so weak. And it was Sunday. And so some of Matt's family and a dear friend, Father Holdren, was there. And we decided to all have Sunday Mass together. And we celebrated the Mass. We all had Eucharist. Dad had Eucharist. And then Father Holdren, gave him the Eucharist and did anointing of the sick. And then my dad kind of sat up a little bit and he said, I have something to say. And I'm going to read something from this book. It's a project my mom and dad were working on that us siblings didn't know. But it's just a compilation of Matt's entire life and chapters of just life advice we would ever want. And he wrote about his childhood, friendships, career, picking a wife, raising children, your faith. And it says what he said, and I don't want to get it wrong, so I want to read it. It's Matt's final message. At this time, Matt was very weak, often confused, and only spoke a few words at a time. Father Ben Holdren and Shane Kennett came over Sunday, February 7th, to pray over Matt and have Sunday Mass with us. After Matt received anointing of the sick, was prayed over by them, and received the Holy Eucharist at Mass, he had a final message for us. At the end of Mass, Matt said, "Father, I have something I want to say. I want to thank Stacy and everything she has done for me. Stacy has always had a strong faith. I was raised Catholic, but she brought another stage to my learning of the Catholic religion and marriage than I probably had. It's my own fault I didn't have a better understanding. I didn't make it a priority in my teens and 20s. I wouldn't say I didn't care about it, but it wasn't the top of my priorities. In regard to raising kids and how they should be raised in the faith, she helped me see some of that and a lot of the importance of that. It's nobody's fault. If you want to learn stuff, you can learn stuff. I just think you don't know what you don't know. You need to have the will to want to know. My parents did a wonderful job, don't get me wrong. I should have done better teaching the faith to my kids than having it be so much on her. So I hope my kids, down the line, realize the importance of their faith and what it should be. It can be corrected at any time. That's not what it's about. I don't know how you go through the stuff that we've been through the last few years without having some kind of belief in God, some kind of belief in heaven. I don't see how you can survive without having some kind of faith to help you get through something like this. Stacy always says we're going to have a better life than what we have now. The best is yet to come for me, and that's what we all have to believe." The way my dad carried his cross spoke to so many, not just my family. He pushed so much in the end for his loved ones to talk to a priest, to go to confession. He always brought it back to God. And we've always joked that Matt is our little Saint Joseph, right? Just like Jesus had a stepdad, Matt stepped in to be my dad. And if you look at the Bible, Joseph doesn't say one word in the whole New Testament. There is no Joseph said, none of it. And the year he died was the year of Saint Joseph. And Wednesday is dedicated to the Holy Family, and he passed away on a Wednesday. And the prayer that we always said was for him to have a good and holy death. But the biggest thing about Matt is, just like Joseph, I feel like his way of being a saint wasn't for giving a great sermon, but it was for how he lived his life. And he lived his faith through his actions. Matt didn't have to say it to me every time I walked in a room. I just knew he loved me by how he treated me. And I saw miracles all throughout his cancer diagnosis, with people saying they're going to start praying again. Or at Dad's Rosary, tons of kids said they haven't gone to confession in years, and that was one of the best confessions they've ever had. And in these sad times, it just makes you think of how little time we have. And the thing I'm worrying about, does it really matter? Life's too short. And I've gotten a lot more aggressive about that. And sometimes it puts people off, or it may be a little standoffish, but that's one of the biggest lessons Matt ever taught me. His biggest regret is that he didn't take his faith serious sooner, because it brought him so much peace, and it meant everything to him in the end. And so I share my dad's story because if you look at my life, it's messy. I think people naturally look at me and think, how are you a follower of God? How do you believe in God? Why would God let bad things happen to good people? Matt was a good person, so it's not fair that he's taken away. Matt wanted to be my dad, and I only got him for 22 years.
Gianna was only 6 years old. That's not fair. Why would a good and loving God do something like that? I had no answer. I didn't get it. I still had faith, but I can't tell you. And just another testament to my mom. Her and Dad, worked on this beautiful book. So my dad's always with me. The way I grieved was really rough, and I don't want to get into it because I just want to honor Dad's story. But I went on a grief retreat with my mom and Gianna, and at the end of it, my mom got me this book. It's called Before I Go. She had Dad write an inscription on there, and I love seeing his handwriting. It's so weird, so messy. But when Mom was like, what do you want to say to your kids? Or, when they have questions and things, and they found this book, and he's like, this guy's way smarter than me. I like how he says it. It's really short and easy. Let's just give him this book, because I stand by all of it. And as I'm reading it and as I'm working through it, it does feel like if Dad was talkative and philosophical, it sounds like him. But one of the last chapters is, why do bad things happen to good people? And I've never had something make so much sense. And I think that's such a huge question when you question God. So I do want to read this to you as we end things. When bad times come, when bad things happen, we probe for causes. Why does this happen? Did God do it? What did I do wrong? Who's to blame? What can I do to fix it? But all that usually does no good, because the past is dead and it cannot be changed. Only the future can, by present choices. So ask instead, what use can I now make of this bad thing? Causes, ask about the past. Uses, ask about the future. What can I learn from this? Can I see this pain as splinters from his cross? Can I trust him to use even bad for good, to bring good out of bad? Yes, you can. You can say yes to his slow, marvelous plan of deliverance from evil, and you can believe it is wiser than our instant, quick fix solutions. Trust is an essential lesson we have to learn, and we can't learn to trust in the light, but only in the dark. So he has to bring the dark. So although we can't understand the reason for these bad things to happen to these good people, we can understand that it has to be that way, and we can understand why we can't understand. Jesus did not suffer to take away our sufferings, but to take away our sins. He did not suffer to take away our sufferings, but to make them part of his. He did not suffer to take away our sufferings, but to transform them. They are now doors to heaven. Death is the big door, and pains are the little doors. He calls to us from behind them. I am here, behind this door, even though you cannot see me, just as I am here behind the appearances of bread and wine in the Eucharist. Trust me. Take my hand and come. My hand has more nail marks on it than yours ever will. I am the master of pain. I alone can lead you through the valley of the shadows of death. Fear no evil, for I am with you. I miss Dad so much, and I hurt for the pain that it has brought to my family and the void that is just constant. It's been 5 years and it's not easier. I'm just getting better at giving it to God. But in the most twisted way, I thank God for this. I praise God and bless God through this, because I had a chance to really, really love and be grateful for somebody that mattered so much in my life. And I was able to have those meaningful conversations. And as hard as it was, I got a front row seat at some amazing miracles. Not only in Matt's life, but in a lot of people's lives, and still to this day. And I'm still sad, and I'm still confused, and I'm still hurt. But I am beyond proud and happy to say that following Matt's example, my family has done an amazing job turning to God instead of running away from him. And we'd rather him here with us, obviously. But I do think that this experience and this pain and this cross is going to be used for something more amazing than we ever thought and that Matt ever thought. And I got a front row seat at a holy man who showed me what love really means, what love really is. And that, just like the Father's love, Matt's love for me was truly a choice, and one he never had to think twice about, and one I can't even fathom. but one I am forever grateful for. Sorry, this was a very teary episode, but I just had to share with you that, our plans are really God's plans, not ours. And He can use our pain to perform wonders if we let Him. And Matt did that. My dad did that. And I'm so proud of him that I had to share it. And so, if you're listening, I think Matt's biggest message would be take time for your faith. Make time for God. Because all of this can be taken away from you. Your health, your family, your wealth, it all can go away. Only God is the only constant you have. And run to confession. Because every day is a gift and our time on earth is so precious that we don't want to waste our time hiding in shame, hiding away from God because of our past. Because we can't dwell on the past, but we can look forward to the future. And now one of my biggest motivations for heaven not only is to be reunited with my Savior, but to be reunited with my dad. And that gives me some kind of fire to keep running. And I'm excited. I can't wait to reunite with him and share with him all the blessings I've seen come from his story. Please continue to pray that this podcast does what God wills of it. Share it with somebody if you think they might get some healing out of Matt's story. And never forget to ponder the purpose, embrace the journey, and live the conversion. Thank you.